Alex Eala remains silent about the score after his significant victory. She discussed her family. "My mom won medals in swimming. My father has always been my rock." On the court, they shed tears. The devastating family secret of Alex Eala was exposed. The reality of her run at the Miami Open. Welcome back to Champions Tennis, your one-stop shop for the most captivating behind-the-scenes tennis tales. Furthermore, we are discussing more than simply tournament drawings, awards, and standings today. Everything you believe to be true about Alexandria Eala's unrelenting, almost supernatural desire this season is entirely reframed by what we are discussing today, something so unvarnished, so profoundly human, and so terribly tragic. Therefore, if you're sitting down right now, you may want to grab a Kleenex because what we're about to share with you today completely alters music. Sports highlights and viral events are the norm in our day and age. We view slow-motion replays of the fist pump at matchpoint, the soaring overhead smash, and the flawless forehand winner. The dazzling trophies hoisted high under stadium lights, the flashing cameras, the pressed tennis whites, and the glamour music and glamour are all provided by social media. We have seen Alexandra Eala do all of that and more. On the biggest tennis platforms, she has dazzled us with her performances. She has caused a whole country to burst into happy, incredulous tears. She has converted doubters into believers and believers into devoted followers. However, there is a daughter hidden behind that warrior's mask and those intense, concentrated eyes that frighten opponents on the other side of the internet. A terrified, loyal, and loving daughter competing in the most significant event of her life, one that has nothing to do with WTA ranking points. Alexandra Eala just revealed a heartbreaking family secret that has left fans, teammates, coaches, and tennis superstars dumbfounded. She was clearly overwhelmed and unable to hold back her emotions in a moment that rocked the whole world of sports. Alex Eala spoke about her family instead of the score. "My mom won medals in swimming at SEA Games. My father has always been my rock. From the start, her father has been her pillar of support and her greatest supporter. Mike Eala is battling cancer, which is both challenging and taxing. And her father gazed at his daughter in a moment so intensely emotional it hardly seems real. He remarked in a shaky voice that his biggest hope in life is to live long enough to see this once-in-a-generation genius achieve her goals and rise to the top." Quit. Simply pause for a moment and let that to settle. That statement is worth more than a quick scroll on your feed, so give it some time to really sink in. His biggest desire was not a holiday, comfort, or a way out of the agony of battling a sickness that reduces a person to their most vulnerable state. Seeing his daughter reach the pinnacle of women's tennis is his ultimate dream. That's the type of love that can't be contained in a social media caption or a television screen. That's the type of love that completely changes a career's narrative. Alexandra's response was instinctive, and totally unguarded. This was not the calm, calculated competitor who approaches match points with a steely determination and a stone countenance. This young lady had lost all of her protective gear. Standing in front of her father as just his daughter, she suddenly realized with horrifying clarity that every game she plays now has a weight that the music world's ranking system cannot quantify. She wasn't sobbing over a poor draw or lost points. She was sobbing because time, something we all take for granted, something that seems limitless when you're 20 and everything is at your fingertips, suddenly seemed crushingly limited, and everyone in the tennis world shared her feelings. Fans from all across the world have responded to this discovery with an enormous and overwhelming outpouring of passion. Messages of love, prayers, and support have flooded social media from Manila to Madrid, from Melbourne to Miami, cutting straight through the typical din of sports criticism and discussion. All of a sudden, it makes tragic sense why Alex has attacked every event this season with such unrelenting, almost frightening zeal. She is after more than a ranking. Only she and her family can hear the clock ticking away as she races against it. We must start from the beginning in order to fully appreciate the scope of this narrative. Because Mike Eala's narrative and Alex Eala's story are inextricably linked. In the harsh, fiercely competitive world of professional tennis, skill is never sufficient. A player may only advance as far as their support network permits. Additionally, Alex's parents have never been just silent onlookers in the player's box. They have served as the cornerstone, the framework, and the unseen design of all she has accomplished on a tennis court. Think back to the beginning. As a parent, picture yourself seeing your 13-year-old daughter whack a tennis ball and realizing with almost terrifying clarity that you are witnessing something that the Philippines has never created before. A true once-in-a-generation tennis player. How do you use that? Allowing her to play locally, celebrating her local championships, keeping the family together, and making modest sacrifices are all simple and comforting. However, Mike Eala did not choose comfortable. He made an exceptional decision. Sending his adolescent daughter halfway across the globe to the Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, was a huge, scary, and very loving choice. One of the world's most prestigious and difficult tennis miles. Believing that she would become something momentous in the furnace of that setting. And there were a lot of sacrifices involved in that choice. At the airport, Mike wasn't only waving music goodbye and writing a check. He was negotiating the complex and sometimes frustrating politics of regional sports federations. In order to save Alex from having to fight these fights herself, he was engaged in combat behind closed doors. He was handling worldwide travel itineraries, contracts, early sponsorships, logistics, and the thousand unseen demands of establishing a child's career on the global scene. With a fierceness only a dad can muster, he protected her from the commotion. Music creating a bubble of concentration around her so she could accomplish what really mattered: develop, grow, improve, and become. He accomplished all of this while establishing what sports psychologists and coaches would characterize as an almost ideal barrier. Mike Eala was never the controlling tennis father who haunts sports history with terrifying tales of angry, burned-out prodigies. He gave the coaches permission to coach. He gave the trainers permission to train. He allowed the school to mold her style. He played a unique, significant, and indispensable contribution. In a setting that is everything from unconditional, he was just the steadfast constant of unconditional love. He was there to support the junior Grand Slams. When Spain felt lonely and music was far from home, he was there for the late-night calls. He was there as she became the second Filipino in history to win a Grand Slam Junior Championship in 2022 by winning the Junior French Open. He was crying at the time, too. Only they were tears of unrestrained happiness. The guy has been there for all of the story's chapters, and now, tragically, Alex is playing the most significant one, and she's doing it for him. Let's now discuss what Alex has been doing on the court in recent months. The tennis community owes it to itself to recognize the extent of what this young woman has been achieving while discreetly bearing this unachievable emotional burden because she hasn't been crumbling under the pressure. She's been blowing up. At the US Open in Music, New York late last year, the world of sports saw a moment of pure, historic Philippine pride. Alex Eala created history that would live on in Philippine sports history when she entered the main draw of the US Open with the famous Sagita flower tied in her hair as a mark of national pride. She defeated Claratson in a match that saw her overcome a significant deficit with a level of mental toughness that had seasoned pundits shaking their heads in shock, becoming her the first Filipina to win a Grand Slam main draw match in the Open era. The Philippines exploded. In Manila, social media completely collapsed. Mike Eala was also there, witnessing his daughter create history on the largest tennis platform. The intensity of the energy continued over into the 2026 season, indicating to anybody carefully observing that Alex's game and strategy had undergone a profound change. She had a new type of energy when she came to Indian Wells for the BNP Paribas Open. She was more confident, daring, and fiercely motivated, and she delivered. She made her way through the draw and advanced to the fourth round, when she faced the most coveted player in American tennis, Coco Gauff, the current US Open winner. On that court, a statement was made. Before Gauff was regrettably forced to quit due to a left arm injury, Alex was ahead 6-2-0 and utterly destroying Gauff's game with tactical understanding and physical ferocity that had the audience roaring. The scoreline revealed the whole tale, but Alex's choice to retire prevented him from experiencing the full gratification of a successful outcome. She wasn't simply up against the best in the world. They were being beaten by her. Then came Miami, the event where Alex had made her debut the year before, making it to the semifinals in a run that sent shockwaves through the globe, announcing her presence at the elite level of women's tennis. In 2026, Miami faced tremendous pressure and high expectations. And at first, She delivered with the same spirit of battle that has characterized her whole career. In a grueling, grinding 3-set match that demonstrated all aspects of her developing game, she defeated the skilled and dangerous Laura Siegend. Her aggressive baseline play, her increased net presence, and above all else, her unshakable battling spirit when the match hangs on a knife's edge. Then she returned and advanced to the round of 16 by defeating Magdala Linette, a very skilled opponent who never gives anything away for free. Additionally, Alex often used the term brave in her in-court interviews during her Miami run, those lighthearted celebratory conversations with the microphone-wielding interviewer that her supporters adore. She discussed her clear, deliberate decision to be bold as well as the honor of performing on large venues. Everyone in the audience nodded and grinned at the moment, assuming she meant brave in the sense of athletics. Courageous enough to take risks. Courageous enough to face the top 10 players head-on and not back down. But now that we know so much about her father's fight, the term brave has a whole new, heartbreaking, and lovely meaning. In that stadium, she wasn't simply showing courage for the supporters who were yelling her name. She was showing courage for the guy who was watching from a hospital and who wanted nothing more than to see her succeed. Each and every forehand winner was a promise. Each grasp of service was an act of prayer. She reached out to her father after every victory, saying, "I am still here. I am still fighting. I am doing this for you." As is often the case, the fairy tale run finally ran against the hard wall of tournament reality. In the round of 16, Alex faced world number 14 Karolina Machova, a sophisticated, cunning, and utterly lethal Czech player who, at her best, can destroy almost anybody on Music the Tour. And Machova was performing at her devastating best that day, in that particular match. The scoreline starkly illustrates how cruel and biased the outcome was. In barely 60 minutes, they were crushed 6-0, 6-2. The grandstand court, which had been alive with anticipation for Alex in earlier rounds, became silent in the same way that a crowd does when they are seeing something challenging. Due to the loss, Alex is expected to lose the points associated with her record 2025 semifinal run in Miami, resulting in a huge loss of ranking points and a drop to about world number 45. Social media would generate the typical heated opinions over whether her 2025 performance was an anomaly or whether she is indeed destined for greatness. She would feel crushed and suffocated by the pressure from back home in the Philippines, where she is responsible for the tennis aspirations of a whole music country. However, at this point, none of that analytical noise is relevant. Not at all. Because she didn't think about her ranking predictions or her plan for preparing for the clay court as Alex left that court, shook Machovia's hand, and moved away from the cameras. It went to a much more significant location. And a tennis match is simply a tennis match in such situation. Just numbers make up a scoreline. Outside the white lines, she will find what is true and really important. This is the aspect of professional sports that we are never shown on TV or in highlight packages. Despite being amazing physical specimens with rackets, these sportsmen are still just human. They are friends and lovers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters. Living out of bags and doing their best performances for millions of strangers who adore them without knowing them, they battle jet lag, loneliness, physical discomfort, heartache, and sadness. Most of us would be crushed by the mental strain alone. Nevertheless, Alex Eala continues to compete against the world's top players on his center courts while bearing news that would completely deter most people. She continues to swing for the fences and wear the sampita flower in her hair as a representation of a pride that transcends athletics. This discovery has brought an almost intolerable sensitivity to the already very emotional journey of national athletic pride for the Philippine tennis community. Alex Eala did not arrive out of nowhere as a polished product prepared for the WTA circuit. A family that made tremendous sacrifices and a whole network of coaches, fans, and believers who recognized something exceptional in her helped to build her year by year, tournament after tournament, setback by setback. Mike Eala is just as much a part of this amazing journey's milestones as Alex is. Additionally, the tennis world as a whole has been reminded by the news of his sickness that the players' tales are always deeper, more complex, larger, and more poignant than any match statistic could ever fully convey. In response, the tennis community has shown kindness and unity that breaks through the tour's typical competitive cacophony. Supportive messages have flooded in from all across the world. Coaches, analysts, and other athletes who have a deeper understanding of life's challenges than anybody else have shown true empathy for what the Eala family is going through. Because players realize that behind every player giving their best on the court, there is an entire universe of love and sacrifice that made them possible, both inside the practice courts and the locker rooms. The whole cosmos is now uniting around a single family. When considering Alex's schedule for the remainder of the 2026 season, a purely tactical analytical perspective is no longer feasible. The build-up to Roland Garros comes after the impending clay court swing in Europe, Lindt, and beyond. The Grand Slam on the Parisian red clay, which is particularly significant in Philippine tennis history since it was the location of her junior victory in 2022, will now have an emotional impact that transcends tennis strategy and global ranking calculations. From now on, every competition she participates in will be a new chapter in her love tale. A parent engaged in the most difficult war of his life will get a prize after every win. She will be carrying more than just the Philippine flag every time she steps upon a clay string in Europe with her sampita flower. She will transmit her father's biggest dream into her racket arm while carrying it on her back. Alex Eala's ability to handle pressure is what makes her unique and distinguishes her from a lot of gifted but brittle young talents that shine for a short while before fading. It diminishes the majority of players. It amplifies her. She flames hotter on larger stages. She grows more scary as the occasion becomes heavier. When she overcame Towson in the US Open, we saw it. Before she retired, we saw it in Indian Wells when she was teaching Coco Golf. We seen that in Miami when she fought with a champion's heart through the siege and Lynette. This young lady not only puts up with hardship, but she turns it into motivation. In the next months, she won't be weakened by the devastating news regarding her father's health. If her career trajectory is any indication, she will be completely unstoppable. The season of 2026 is far from over. The clay swing opens out in front of her. On the horizon lie Rome, Madrid, and the crimson splendor of Roland Garros. And Mike Eala will be watching from someplace, preferably from the stands in Paris or from a TV in a hospital room. The route his daughter is sprinting down is illuminated by his biggest yearning, which burns like a lamp in the dark. She is going to attempt to return the world that he gave her. One game at a time, one competition at a time, one momentous occasion for the sport, the Philippines, and most importantly, her father. At Champions Tennis, we are sending Mike Eala all of our love, all of our prayers, and all of our good thoughts. Take on Mike. You taught your daughter to fight as you do on that court. There are no words that can adequately describe what you are bearing at the moment, Alex. However, we observe it. It is seen by everyone on the planet. We are all on your side. Every game, every day, and every stage of our adventure. We would like to hear from you now. Our amazing community of tennis champions. What impact has this tale had on you? Do you think Alex Eala's emotional intensity will help her go farther in this spring's clay court competitions? Could we be seeing a Roland Garros run that would go on forever in Philippine sports history? What thoughts and prayers do you have for the Eala family? Please share all of your current emotions in the space provided for comments below. Because these kinds of events are precisely why we established this community together, it's a family as well. Click the like button right now to let the family know that everyone is watching and supporting them if this story touched your heart the way it did ours. If you haven't already, subscribe to Champions Tennis and hit the notification bell to ensure you never miss an update on Alex's journey, her father's battle, or any of the biggest, most poignant tennis-related stories. Every stage, every game, every chapter of this incredible tale will be seen by us. Champions, until the next time, never give up, never stop loving, and tighten your grip on the people you care about the most. Huge victory. Regarding the score, Alex Eala said very little. She discussed her family. My mom won medals in swimming. My father has always been my rock. Since she was a child, they have sacrificed, that is, dreamed, to see her.